Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 183 based on novel. So let's start. A middle-aged man wearing red robes on the second floor of the auction hall held a jade box in his hand. He opened it, revealing a pill the size of a baby's fist. It didn't give off any medicinal fragrance, the pill looked very normal. Waves of discussion echoed in the hall. Every cultivator here naturally had good eyesight. A rank 8 pill was an absolutely rare treasure for them. However, if one's cultivation level wasn't high enough, this pill would be like poison. If it couldn't be consumed, then keeping it on them would be a curse. Any cultivator who didn't have the ability to protect it would encounter a great disaster the moment they left the city. As a result, although the hall was filled with discussion, in the end, no one bidded. Some young cultivators wanted to bid, but they were immediately stopped by the elders near them. In their eyes, this object was not a pill but a human head. Whoever buys this pill will lose possession of their head. Moreover, this matter was simply too strange. How could the Ran family sell a pill like this? Could the Ran family's ancestor not need this pill? Why would he auction it? Some with more active minds began to become filled with uncertainty, and they became even less willing to bid. Time slowly passed and still no one bidded at all. The man in red wasn't impatient at all, as he wasn't surprised. The Ran family carefully sent out the tokens for the people to participate at this auction. They were confident that none of them would bid for this pill. If anyone was so blind, then the Ran family wouldn't mind killing them to steal it back. The man's gaze sometimes swept by the fourth floor before he loudly said, "Is anyone willing to bid? If no one is willing to bid, the rank 8 pill will be stored in our whole treasure pavilion." Wang Lin's gaze lingered on the pill for a long time. His eyes revealed a hint of coldness, and then he calmly said, "1 celestial jade. If you want to sell it to me, then I'll buy it." Although his voice was calm, it was clearly heard by every cultivator on the second floor. After an instant, there were bursts of discussions. 1 piece of celestial jade? Who is this? Could he be crazy? The starting price was 10,000 celestial jades, yet this person actually said 1 piece. This is ridiculous, even for the whole treasure pavilion. Something like this has never happened before. The Ran family stands behind the whole treasure pavilion. This kind of behavior will indeed attract a great disaster. This is clearly trying to embarrass the whole treasure pavilion. The sound should be from the 4th floor. Anyone who is on the 4th floor is not simple, but doing this is offending the Ran family. The man wearing red was startled, and he raised his head toward the 4th floor. He was not from this city but someone from the main Ran family. His purpose was to sell the pill to a specific person. He wryly smiled in his heart as the person he was waiting for appeared and made a bid. However, the price was not acceptable. If this price was accepted, it would be tantamount to telling everyone that there was some big secret behind this sale. The Ran family's reputation would take a hit, and more importantly, if it was sold to this person, it would tell everyone that the Ran family was afraid. Absolutely no one would believe that a rank 8 pill would sell for 1 celestial jade. However, if it really did happen, it would create a series of unimaginable troubles. However, he had to sell it. The old ancestor had already ordered that this pill must be auctioned off here. Inside the room in the 4th floor, Son 11, who had the teacup next to his mouth, was startled. His eyes filled with a strange expression, then he put down the cup and sighed. "Brother Shu, I admire you. I admire you." Sun Chiming was also very serious and was speechless for a while. A single piece of celestial jade to purchase a rank 8 pill. Not only them, but even the youth named Lu had his eyes opened wide and was incredibly shocked. That voice was very familiar. It was the youth he had stopped outside several days ago. At the moment he heard Wang Lin bid 1 celestial jade, the youth named Lu muttered to himself, "This person has gone crazy." At this moment, no one noticed that in the single room on the 3rd floor, an old man's mind shook violently after hearing that voice. He suddenly raised his head to look at the 4th floor, and his eyes revealed a strange light. This isn't his voice, but why did my mind tremble? In this old man's life, only that Chen Neo has left a brand in my soul. The old man was silent for a long time. He stood up, and after hesitating, he sat down. Then he began to stare blankly at the ground. My brand should have been broken on planet Dawnlin, so why is it still there? The red-robed man on the second floor hesitated for a while before clenching his teeth. Since only one person has bid, then it will be sold for 1 celestial jade. Wang Lin revealed a sneer and his right hand reached out. The pill flew out of the red-robed man's hand and into Wang Lin's hand, then he threw out a piece of celestial jade. Then he clasped his hands at Sun 11 and left. Wang Lin completely ignored the uproar behind him. With one step, he teleported outside the whole treasure pavilion. Just one pill isn't enough to drag me into this. Wang Lin walked away from the pavilion. On the third floor, the old man clenched his teeth and disappeared. After Wang Lin arrived at a remote place, he turned around. The old man from the whole treasure pavilion appeared behind him. He carefully looked at Wang Lin and revealed a look of doubt. Noticing Wang Lin's gaze, the old man sighed and said, "Fellow cultivator, this old man mistook you for someone else. I hope you won't take offense." He turned around and walked off into the distance. This figure was filled with vicissitudes. Wang Lin pondered a bit and slowly said, "Sun Tai, 1. The head elder of the corpse sect on planet Suzaku. He was the one GE left an imprint on to be a slave to Wang Lin. He was teleported away by the giant demon clan ancestors' bloodline power when he came to save Wang Lin. But he was also the one who placed seal on Wang Lin's cultivation at the time as well." The moment those two words entered the old man's ears, his entire body shook. He jerked his head, looked at Wang Lin with shock, and exclaimed, "You! It really is you!" Wang Lin scanned Sun Tai with his divine sense before frowning and saying, "How could the giant demon clan ancestors' bloodline ability have sent you to the All-Heaven star system?" Sun Tai revealed a bitter expression and said, "I was also puzzled about this for hundreds of years. To my understanding, the bloodline ability shouldn't be this strong." Wang Lin asked, "The brand on your body is very weak. Why?" Sun Tai pondered a bit and said, "Do you know about planet Dawnlin in the All-Heaven star system?" Wang Lin's eyes narrowed, and he didn't let Sun Tai continue speaking. He waved his sleeves and the two of them disappeared. They reappeared outside his house in the northern part of the city. Wang Lin led Sun Tai into the house. After sitting down in a lotus position, Wang Lin looked at Sun Tai and said, "You can speak now." Sun Tai revealed a complex expression as he looked at Wang Lin. He was speechless for a long time. Although his cultivation had fallen to the soul formation stage, his observation skill was still there. However, no matter how he tried, he couldn't see through Wang Lin's cultivation. He was shocked. He thought of the weak soul formation cultivator back in the celestial realm that was forced to give up control of him. The weak cultivator that could only watch the battle between him and Zhu Yi. It was impossible to consider that weak cultivator was the person before him. Although the Wang Lin back then was fierce, he was still lacking in wit, and his cultivation level was simply too low. If not for Zhu Yi's brand, he would have killed Wang Lin with one palm. The Wang Lin before him was calm, but one gaze was enough to make his origin soul tremble. This vast difference was something Sun Tai couldn't accept. The Wang Lin from back then had a lowly status and was only considered a pawn. None of the ascendant cultivators considered him any threat. However, the moment Wang Lin appeared, he immediately aroused the attention of the Ran family's ancestor to the point of even being gifted a rank 8 pill. As for himself, he was only a guest of the Ran family and had lost all the glory he had in the past. Back then, when Wang Lin faced a life and death situation, Wang Lin required him to help. If not for him, Wang Lin would have been killed by the giant demon clan ancestor back then. However, the person before him had a very high cultivation level. Also, the aura Wang Lin gave off told Sun Tai that Wang Lin had killed cultivators on the same level as him. To have killed an ascendant cultivator was a terrifying concept. The strong contrast caused a very complex feeling to gush out of Sun Tai's heart. The changes that happened in the past several hundred years to the person before him were heaven-shaking. During his shock, His mental image of the weak cultivator who could only look up at him gradually disappeared. It was replaced with someone who was so powerful that he didn't to speak loudly near them or even look them in the eye. Even if he was made to become this person's servant, he would have no complaints. Wang Lin didn't say anything, but he could more or less guess what Sun Tai's mood was from his expression. He remained silent and calmly looked at Sun Tai. Sun Tai stared at Wang Lin and whispered, "You. What cultivation level are you at now?" Wang Lin calmly said, "Ascendant." Sun Tai wryly smiled. He didn't believe Wang Lin was merely at the ascendant stage. If Wang Lin was just at the ascendant stage, he would still be able to feel something. From his view, even the Ran family's ancestor couldn't compare to this once weak cultivator. He finally understood why the Ran family's ancestor had gifted the rank 8 pill to Wang Lin through an auction. "You still haven't answered my question." Wang Lin's voice was very calm. His gaze left Sun Tai and looked outside the window. This simple sentence made Sun Tai's body shake, and a complex feeling appeared in his heart. This little cultivator from back then dared to talk to him like this, but sadly, just one sentence was enough to make his soul tremble. Sun Tai bitterly said, When I was transferred to the All-Heaven Star System, I appeared near planet Dong Lin. I lived there for almost a century, doing work for the Lu family. Only after that did I finally gain my freedom. The brand in my body was broken by someone from the Lu family. I had no idea that the brand still existed. Lu family? Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. Sun Tai whispered, "The three strongest families on planet Dong Lin are Shu, Lu, and Liu." Wang Lin pondered and slowly said, "How strong are the three families? Is there anything special about planet Dong Lin?" "Very strong, the three families are unfathomable. As for exactly how strong, my status wasn't high enough to know. However, the families would only need to casually send out an elder to slaughter planet Ren Yun. As for what is different about planet Dong Lin, the only thing I can say is that it is a chaotic and bloody world." As Sun Tai recalled the past, his eyes filled with fears. When Wang Lin noticed this trace of fear, he secretly sighed. The once head elder of the corpse sect on planet Suzaku was gone. Even if he recovered his cultivation, he would never be able to climb any higher. This was because he had lost the Dao heart a cultivator should have. This Dao heart was crushed by the century he had spent on planet Dong Lin. Wang Lin suddenly asked, "Is there a Xiong family on planet Dong Lin?" "Xiong family?" Sun Tai thought for a long time and shook his head. "As far as I know, there is no Xiong family. Of course, it may also be that my status was too low to know any secrets." Wang Lin pondered for a bit before looking at Sun Tai and saying, "You were the head elder of the corpse sect on planet Suzaku in the Alliance star system, so you must know of certain matters. What kind of organization is the corpse sect?" Sun Tai let out a sigh and bitterly said, "Although I was the head elder of the corpse sect on planet Suzaku, there are still a lot of things I don't know. I just know that the corpse sect was one of the two great sects of the Alliance star system. The sects I'm talking about are real sects, not those that only exist on one planet. These sects extend across the Alliance. There are numerous powerful cultivators in them, and their strength even extends into the inner part of the Cultivation Alliance. Rumor has it that the ancestor of the corpse sect is someone with very high status in the Alliance. This is why the corpse sect has existed for so long. As for the other large sect that can contend with the corpse sect, it is the Four Divine sect. To be accurate, planet Suzaku is regarded as a distant branch of the Four Divine sect. The first generation Suzaku was rumored to have come from the Four Divine planet. The Four Divine planet is only a branch of the Four Divine sect. If you think about it, you can be considered an outermost disciple of the Four Divine sect." Wang Lin's eyes were very serious. After all, his time as cultivator was relatively short, so there were a lot of secrets he didn't know about. Now that he heard this, he felt like he had a new understanding of the Alliance star system. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin looked at Sun Tai and asked, "What is your status in the Ran family?" "I'm only a guest of the Ran family, and I'm spending my retirement at the Whole Treasure Pavilion. The Ran family's ancestor only took me in because I have some skills in alchemy and treasure refining." Sun Tai's eyes were filled with depression. He hesitated and said, You shouldn't have taken that rank 8 pill. It was a trap set by the Ran family ancestor. 4 years ago. Sun Tai explained everything he knew from 4 years ago. It was roughly the same as what Sun 11 had told him. At this moment, the sky outside was darkening. It was already sunset. The light from outside landed on Sun Tai, making him look even older, as if he was in his twilight years. Even a sliver of death aura appeared when the sun hit his body. Although it was vague, Wang Lin's domain was life and death, so he was immediately able to see through it. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze and calmly said, You don't have much time left. Sun Tai bitterly nodded. Indeed, not much time left. I can feel I have around 20 years left. You can go back. If I'm still on planet Renyun in 20 years, I'll personally send you off. Wang Lin closed his eyes. Sun Tai pondered for a long time before standing up. He looked out the window and softly said, Can you promise me something? Wang Lin didn't open his eyes and calmly said, Speak. If you really send me off in 20 years, please take my ashes back to the Alliance Star System's planet Dark Moon. There is a mountain that pierces into the sky. I remember there being a village at the foot of the mountain. Please send my ashes back there. Wang Lin let out a sigh, then he opened his eyes and nodded at Sun Tai. Sun Tai revealed a smile of gratitude. At this moment, he was like a mortal old man who wanted to return to his roots after he died and not become a foreign ghost. He took out a bag of holding, slowly put it down, and said, Here are some celestial jades. I've been saving them for the day when I recover my cultivation, but after seeing you, I feel like I don't need them anymore. There are also records of my alchemy and treasure refining experiences. Take them as my thanks for sending his old man home. Sun Tai walked out while looking at the sunset. The orange light from the sunset accompanied Sun Tai as he walked further and further away. He had met an old friend and really didn't know what kind of mood he was in. As Wang Lin looked at Sun Tai's figure, the all-powerful head elder of the corpse sect that had fought with Ju Yi and stolen the female corpse slowly overlapped with this figure. Even after he left, he didn't ask what happened to the child he released back then. Perhaps he really had given up on everything and just wanted to live his last 20 years quietly. Giving away his bag of holding was him loosening a knot in his heart. It meant that he had given up on recovering and had given up on everything, including the unwillingness he felt for the hundreds of years he had spent here. It was because of Wang Lin that he ended up with such a fate, but also because of Wang Lin that he was relieved of the pain in his soul for hundreds of years. If there was karma, this was it. His only request was for him to return to his roots, for Wang Lin to send him back to the small village under the sky-piercing mountain. The sun set and Wang Lin closed his eyes. Life and death, karmatic cause and karmatic effect are only separated by just one thought, much like yin and yang, true and false. This was the way the world was. Karma is a path after the life and death domain. It can be said that karma is the root of life and death. It is because there is a karmatic cause of life that there is a karmatic effect of life. Wang Lin felt a hint of enlightenment, but everything still felt foreign. It was as if he could see it but not touch it. Some say that life and death are the most unpredictable things in the world. This is because mortals don't know when they will die. The mysteries of death are like an unpredictable knife over their heads, making people feel fear from the depths of their souls. However, they don't know that life and death are merely a small part of something bigger. If they chased it to the source, they'd find out that it's just a type of karma. No one can escape yesterday's karmatic cause and today's karmatic effect. Just like Liu Mai, who was currently sitting cross-legged in a room in Planet Thousand Illusion. While touching her bag of holding, she looked at the strange environment outside, and her heart felt more steadfast. It was as if she wouldn't feel lonely as long as she had the object inside her bag of holding with her. She gently stroked her bag of holding. Liu Mai's face once more revealed a trace of pain, but this pain was quickly replaced by indifference. It was as if something inside the bag of holding had sent out waves of ripples. After feeling the fluctuations inside the bag, Liu Mai bit her fingertip. She then squeezed out a drop of fresh blood and flicked it into the bag of holding. The fluctuations gradually disappeared. Liu Mai sighed. The treasure I prepared for him is now useless. A big event was taking place on planet Thousand Illusion. An ancestor that had left thousands of years ago had returned. He had also brought back a disciple with amazing talent, and 3 months from now a bloodline ritual was going to occur for this disciple in order to make her a core member of the Huan family. News of this matter quickly spread like a storm until every planet that was related to Planet Thousand Illusion knew about it. Planet Renyun was a subordinate to Planet Thousand Illusion. After Sun Tai left, Wang Lin quietly cultivated inside the room. There were more than 50,000 pieces of celestial jade in the bag Sun Tai had left behind. It was the limit of how much Sun Tai could obtain. Adding on the celestial jades from before, Wang Lin had a total of a bit below 300,000 celestial jades. His eyes lit up and muttered to himself, "It should barely be enough." He stood up and then disappeared from the room. When he reappeared, he was more than 50,000 kilometers away from the house. His divine sense swept the area before he slapped his bag of holding and large number of celestial jades flew out. Wang Lin sat in the lotus position and his hand formed seals, sending out restrictions. After dozens of restrictions were set, the celestial jades fell one by one, forming a giant formation. This formation was nameless, it was something Wang Lin had derived himself from his underworld river's third ability. It could absorb a large amount of celestial jades and use the powerful impact to improve his cultivation. As more than 300,000 celestial jades descended, Wang Lin slapped his bag once more and the 7-star sword formation flew out. It hung around Wang Lin, protecting him. The celestial guard also came out from his shadow and fused into nothingness. If anyone dared to disturb him, the celestial guard would kill without hesitation. After taking a deep breath, Wang Lin closed his eyes. His hands formed a seal and then rested on his knees, then he softly said, "Shatter." The sound of his voice became a spell and spread out like a loud rumble. It immediately caused the surrounding celestial jades to explode and turn into dust. At this moment, it was as if the entire heavens and earth were covered by the dust of the celestial jades. Then an unimaginable force of celestial spiritual energy suddenly exploded forth. This celestial spiritual energy was very powerful, to the point of being terrifying. It turned into a tornado of celestial spiritual energy with Wang Lin as the center and charged straight into the sky. A powerful ripple spread out, causing thunder to rumble across the world. The celestial spiritual energy tornado became even stronger as more and more celestial jades exploded. The celestial spiritual energy from the jades fueled the tornado, making it more powerful. It felt like it was ready to charge out of planet Renyun. Only 3 people on planet Renyun clearly felt this powerful storm of celestial spiritual energy. The first person was naturally Sun 11, who was the closest. Sun 11 was cultivating when he suddenly opened his eyes, and they were filled with shock. The second person was a middle-aged man who was in the depths of a glacier on the other side of planet Renyun. This person was inside a piece of never-melting ice, absorbing the cold energy within. At the moment the burst of celestial spiritual energy occurred, he opened his eyes. His eyes emitted a cold light as he looked toward the location of the mysterious celestial spiritual energy storm. "Is it a warning?" The middle-aged man hesitated for a moment and then ignored it. The third person was at the central part of planet Renyun, where the Ran family was located. In the Ran family's ancestral home, an old man with a head full of white hair narrowed his eyes as he listened to the report of the auction from a family member. After hearing that the Renegade pill was sold for only 1 piece of celestial jade, he let out a cold snort and his eyes filled with dissatisfaction. Just as he was about to speak, he detected the appearance of the storm of celestial spiritual energy. He immediately stood up and looked at the direction of the celestial storm with a gloomy expression. After a long time, he muttered to himself, "What does he mean?" Inside the tornado, Wang Lin's hand formed a seal. He suddenly opened his eyes and shouted, "Absorb." That one word was like roaring thunder that could shatter the tornado. Wang Lin opened his mouth and the tornado was rapidly sucked into his mouth. An underworld river vaguely appeared around Wang Lin. The underworld river revolved around Wang Lin and formed an invisible force that condensed the tornado of celestial spiritual energy. The celestial spiritual energy tornado was being inhaled by Wang Lin. It was as if he was devouring the heavens. Large amounts of celestial jade surrounded Wang Lin, and his meridians immediately swelled up several-fold. The celestial spiritual energy was immediately devoured as it entered his origin soul. Right now Wang Lin's body was like the tide abyss, and his origin soul was the black hole that devoured everything in the tide abyss. The powerful celestial spiritual energy tornado was being devoured by Wang Lin. It quickly shrank until it was completely devoured. Wang Lin's complexion was a bit red, his eyes were bright, and lightning was crackling all over his body. The giant tornado disappeared and the world returned back to normal. Aside from the fact that there were no clouds nearby, everything was back to normal. It was as if everything that had just happened was only an illusion. The underworld river gradually faded until it disappeared without a trace. Wang Lin took a deep breath. He then stood up and his eyes lit up like a torch. I only need enlightenment in my domain to reach the mid-stage of Ascendant. However, I can't rush domain enlightenment. It could happen in the next instant, or in 10 years, or in 100 years. Now it's time to settle some matters. I wanted to peacefully cultivate on planet Renyun, but some people don't want this peace to continue. Since he wants to involve me in this matter, then he must show enough sincerity. I presume those three understood the idea of my performance just now. Wang Lin revealed a sneer and waved his hand. The seven-star sword formation flew back into his bag and the celestial guard once more returned to his shadow. As he walked, he used greater teleportation. At the same time, he spread out his divine sense to cover the entire planet. After locking onto the mid-stage ascendant cultivator, Wang Lin disappeared. In the Ran family's ancestral home, the old man's expression changed and his eyes shone brightly. Then his body flickered and directly teleported out. He appeared 5,000 kilometers from the Ran family's home and then his hand formed a seal. A bolt of lightning appeared, and without any hesitation, he threw it at the void. The old man waved his hand and a bolt of lightning appeared in the sky with a loud boom. Palm Thunder, one of the Ran family's ancestors' ascendant spells. The lightning bolt charged directly at the void. At this moment, a cold snort came from the void and Wang Lin's figure appeared. He didn't move, but the shadow under him flickered. The celestial guard flickered before Wang Lin and the Palm Thunder immediately collapsed. At the same time, the celestial guard's shadow appeared before the Ran family's ancestor and gently pushed him. The Ran family's ancestor immediately coughed out blood and flew back like a meteor. He then coughed out more blood and his became extremely pale. He quickly took out large amount of pills from his bag and devoured them. All of this happened in an instant, so fast that the Ran family's ancestor only felt aghast in his heart along with a deep sense of fear. What exactly is his cultivation level? It's too terrifying. He didn't want to kill me, otherwise, I would have without a doubt died to that blow. This person, could his cultivation be at the peak of the late stage of Ascendant? The old man gasped. The celestial guard's shadow disappeared behind Wang Lin. Then Wang Lin coldly looked at the Ran family's ancestor and calmly asked, "Was it you who wanted to drag me into the matter from 4 years ago?" The old man's mind trembled. After pondering for a bit, he clenched his teeth and said, "Fellow cultivator, this matter was my fault. I only did this because. I'm not going to listen to your excuse. If you want to receive my protection, you must show your sincerity. The sincerity you've shown so far isn't enough." Wang Lin had his hands behind his back and looked very calm. The old man took a deep breath. Hundreds of ideas turned in his head, then he immediately asked, "Fellow cultivator means?" Wang Lin slowly said, "Give me 90% of all the celestial jades your family has." The old man pondered and began to hesitate in his heart. Wang Lin looked forward and calmly said, "The two of you, come out as well." Two illusions appeared where Wang Lin was looking. It was Sun 11 and the middle-aged man inside the glacier. Their eyes were filled with terror. The scene of the Ran family's ancestor almost losing his life with one sweep had shaken their hearts greatly. You take out your 70% of your family's celestial jades for protection. Wang Lin pointed at Sun 11. Sun Shi's eyes became serious and he immediately nodded. Fellow cultivator Shu, I'm okay with this matter. As long as I can walk out from the shadow of 4 years ago, I can accept this condition. As for you, give me 90% of your family's celestial jades. Wang Lin's gaze landed on the middle-aged man that was inside the glacier. In addition, there are also the remaining pills and the bag of holding from the Huan family member from 4 years ago. Bring me everything without a single thing missing. Also, if I don't have enough celestial jades, you all will have to get more for me. If there aren't enough for my cultivation, then I won't bother with this matter. This video will end here.